Welcome to Unfiltered. Steve Sanchez hanging out with you. We got our co-host with us, Patrick Casale in the house, and Paul Nohra in the house as well. We got a lot to talk about because, hell, man, there's been all kinds of crazy crap going on over these last few days, and I don't even know where to start. I just, I think we're going to start, guys, where really I think we need to start paying more attention. The West needs to start paying more attention to not only the clown show at Brown University, but Chip Roy, he created this Sharia-free America caucus, and it's that important. I know a lot of people on the left, some on the right as well, are trying to say that many people like yours truly are trying to be just conspiratorial, and we're against Muslims, and America's a melting pot, and we're immigrants, and all of that's true. But guys, what the hell? I mean, I think jihad has been called on our country. I'm convinced of it. I'm going to go to Paul Nohra first because Guy, I mean, look, you have experience, with a lot of this, being from Lebanese and you fighting the PLO, and you saw. I'm sure you're seeing today what shit, man. People are seeing all across the country. You saw it how many years ago?
Yeah, so the situation with the whole Chip Roy's law that he's trying to pass. Um, let's get one thing straight, and I think again we're like as you said, Steve. People are going to call us names and say that we're not tolerant, which is absolutely incorrect because this country is the most tolerant country in the world, and we the people here are some of the most tolerant in the world. There's a basic problem, which is that Sharia law is not compatible with the U.S. Constitution. I will debate this with anyone at any time, at any place, and I'll get people that are smarter than me to debate this with anyone, any place, anywhere. So by definition, this is not the simplistic separation of church and state. In Islam, church is state and state is church. And there's no going around it. You can try to talk about it, you can dance around it, you can do whatever you want. The reality is, in general, for the last 1400 years, or whatever how many years it's existed, this religion was created on no differences. Now, people can go back and say, yeah, but the Catholic Church back in the Middle Ages and so on and so forth, I agree. But then there was something called the French Revolution, followed by something called the United States of America, where that separation happened and everybody followed. That has not happened in Islam. And it's not happening in Islam. If anything, they're trying to do what was done where they come from in the new places that they visit.
They're doubling down. Right. They're doubling down on the ideology is what they're doing.
It's who again, it's hard because it's who you are, and you can't really change basically at the end of the day who and what you are.
Guy, okay, let me ask you this before Pat you jump in, but Guy, let me ask you this. Okay, so you're 15 years old. You're fighting the PLO. These are the granddaddies of Hezbollah, Hamas. You're in Lebanon. You're fighting at 15. Your parents don't even know you're doing this. You believe so much in Christianity and freedom. You're fighting these guys. Were they still then? Were they trying to implement Sharia? Was that kind of the big thing? Like, you're going to do this, Sharia law is going to be this. Was that kind of the whole mindset and ideology, or just has there been a bigger push for like Sharia law, just kind of like in modern times?
You interestingly, in the whole of the Middle East, you didn't even have to discuss it because it was that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
The only exception was Lebanon, where there was actually initially a Christian majority, and consequently, it was the first place that had to be brought down with regards to the caliphate struggle, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were kind of the tip of the spear, if you like. And that's when, but it was never called that. It was just a power grab on their side when the demographics and the military presence of the PLO became apparent. Sharia has started becoming to discuss now when it comes to the West, because the West had never heard of that.
Yeah,
The
right.
West has never discussed that, and the imams have never been in the West, in the belly of the beast, if you like, discussing what they're discussing, which is that they want to eventually have everybody under Sharia law. In London, 25 years ago, people didn't talk about this. Today, that's all you hear. You have neighborhoods and neighborhoods of halal cooking, and you can't eat pork, and don't bring bacon, and so on and so forth. So it is being imposed because it's following the people. And the people are now in big numbers and all over Europe.
It's the fastest growing religion in Europe. I mean, between Russia as well. I mean, and Sharia law would be more like it's Orthodox Islam, but on levels people can't comprehend. And it's funny because people in the United States, in the Western Hemisphere, are like, oh, we support Islam, we support Sharia law, not realizing the way you live here is unacceptable in their eyes.
Yeah,
you will be exterminated.
You're seeing it. If you go on X any time of the day, you're seeing imams that are in Dearborn, they're in New York, they're in Jersey, they're all over the place, stating that, hey, there ain't no if, it is when we come into your homes, your children will, your wives will, this is the whole thing. And why is it that we don't take this as serious as we should? Are we just stupid? Are we just we don't believe that these people have the manpower to make a dent? Because I'm seeing right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, and it could just be me, the only one that believes this and thinks this, and we can talk about Brown University as part of this, but more and more and more, we're seeing this uprising of people yelling Ali Akbar. We've seen this in the last few weeks. We've seen this through over these last few years, but really in the last few weeks, we just had a potential terror plot in LA stopped. The FBI stopped this pro-Palestinian group. Transvestites were involved in this group to go detonate 5 bombs in LA at New Year's Eve. Hell, Paris just canceled all of their New Year's Eve celebrations because they're scared to death. Are we making the wrong decision sitting in the corner, letting them scare us, or do these people really mean business? And
they mean business. Steve, these people not only mean business. What we've allowed the fox into the hen house, and the politicians figuring that they were going to get their way with the vote. That's why they allowed them in here, and it's going to backfire. And it started with Barack Obama. Barack Obama is a Muslim. Make no mistake about it. Barry Soetoro is a Muslim.
Yeah, he probably is. Wasn't his father in Indonesia and a practicing Muslim?
Kenyan, I think. His dad was Kenyan.
Kenyan.
Yeah. And definitely his dad was definitely a Muslim from Kenya. That's not a I mean, what the question is, he did go to this church in Chicago, which is probably worse, but that's a different story.
You're talking about Jeremiah Wright's church.
Yeah.
So, he was radical, and I can't say that the church was a Muslim church. It was, and I say it loosely, Christian church, but Jeremiah Wright was an absolute radical the way he saw America and really the harm and punishment. If you guys recall, after 9/11, the chickens came home to roost is really what he said. So
exactly.
The words are there.
You go back to the 60s with that same statement was made by Malcolm X. Then Malcolm X got silent, but Malcolm X, when he went to Mecca, when he came back, was a different Muslim. He realizes there are white Muslims. It wasn't like he was being taught from Elijah Muhammad. And the reason he was assassinated, was because of the fact that he was become too powerful, and he was going to take away the power from Muhammad, because Muhammad was having sex with all these young girls and having children with everybody, which was totally against what the belief of Malcolm X.
See, blasphemy. You say that, people are going to flip out. That's the thing. But can't say that. Even though it's true, you can't say it. That's the crazy thing. But if a Christian says something foul, does something which they should get punishment, obviously, in consequence, an example is made of the Christian. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. Let's be real.
You're 100% right, and we're allowing it.
But nobody wants to say that regarding the prophet Muhammad. And I say prophet loosely because I just don't believe he was a prophet. I believe that the radical Islamic ideology, and I'll say it when others won't say it, is demonic.
I wouldn't argue with that.
Steve, I'll steer the conversation a little bit here. First of all, you're way ahead of your time. Yes, there are some voices that are being concerned right now, but so I'm going to give you my example. So I came, when I hear Allahu Akbar, I get literally PTSD because I was being attacked hearing that saying.
Did they say it every
Literally.
single time? Every single time they attacked, they said it, right?
Absolutely. And it's like, it's a little bit of encouragement for themselves. And it's also, anyway, my point is, so I come to the United States and I become so American that I lose that, if you want, fear or concern about Islam, because America is America and we're the way we are and so on and so forth. And then to start now watching the TV and watch in Brooklyn where they shut down all the roads in order to pray at noon,
That's terrifying.
to me, right? Because it's back. I thought
Yeah.
it was over. I thought
Yeah.
it would not happen in this country, and it is happening. And by the way, they pray outside. They don't pray out. You go. I've been. I don't know if you guys have. You go to Dubai. You go to Saudi Arabia. You go to Morocco. Everywhere you go, they don't pray outside the mosque. They only pray outside the mosque is where they want to spray on your territory. That's all it is. It's a display of power.
So it's like a dog pissing on a tree.
Absolutely. That's all it is. You know what? Don't tell me it's so full inside. I've been. We've been. You can pray inside all you want, and if you have a little bit of outside people, they can be right around the church. There's no reason to do it in the middle of Brooklyn, other than as a sign of
it's a message.
It's a message.
Defiance. Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting. Bongino, I saw yesterday, put out a couple of audios specifically saying how the Iranians are putting together a master plot to try to take out Trump.
I wouldn't doubt it. Something just doesn't smell right to me. I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm telling you, I just, something deep in my gut tells me something is so off with America right now. I don't understand. I think we are not being told things that we should know. I think Trump's in the dark about a lot of stuff. And I say that because I think that there's people in and around him that pretend to be his friend that are absolutely not his friend.
The Judases are all over.
Pat, what you said about Bongino is something that right now I'm very concerned about, because Maduro has made some threats on Trump, and today, I don't know if you guys saw that, Zelensky said the situation is not going to change unless a new election happens or somebody dies. Now, can there be an axis? Iran, Ukraine, Venezuela, China, who knows? But for him, I mean, these are chilling words. For somebody to die, who else are we talking about?
Of course, yeah, we know.
And who financed Zelensky? We did.
Oh yeah.
And why? Without any accountability.
So accountability. I'm sorry, guys. I'm babbling away. I have friends, as you know, Steve, all over the world. Saint-Tropez, Monaco, London, Paris. Do you guys know who the newest arrivals are with regards to nouveau riche?
No.
Ukrainians.
Wow.
Your money, Pat. Your money that's being sent over there. They're now having yachts in Saint-Tropez, and they're staying at the Brown in London.
Well, interesting. You said, his parents had bought an estate in Israel.
Yeah,
Villa. My understanding. Villa. That's what it was. Yeah, and his wife is driving a $250,000 automobile convertible. So much for the war.
I'm not a Putin fan. I never have been. I don't trust Putin. I think he's a disgusting, leader, or if you want to call him a leader. But I don't like Zelensky either. I think he's just as disgusting. I'll be honest with you. They should just beat the hell out of each other and leave us alone at this point. But I know that's not probable with the way we're involved in so much around the world. Look, I'm not one of these separatist guys that says, look, just the Americas by themselves. No, I get it. I understand that we have global trade and there's things that we do, and I get it. We're so deep into this stuff, but we got too deep, guys, right? Didn't we just get too deep where China's making almost all of our antibiotics and manufacturing?
We sold out.
Yeah, we sold out. Who sold
Just-
us out? Wasn't it Bill Clinton that kind of started that, or did
Oh,
Nixon when he opened up, China? Was that where it real started? I mean, we got to point the finger at some president, and to me, Nixon has to take some of the responsibility and blame because he'd opened up China.
Yeah, but when you look at the evolution, I mean, first of all, when you talk about the Ukrainian war, the biggest thing that we were being sold a bill of goods by our own politicians, they want to take over Ukraine and they're going to go into Poland and they're going to go here and they're going to go there. If this military was as powerful and strong as they claimed the Russians to be, and Ukrainians don't have an army, what the hell's going on? How can you citizens prevent a trained military from taking over the country?
Yeah.
If you go back to World War II, Hitler went into a country that didn't have a military. It was over in 6 to 8 hours. He was in control. You're going to tell me that they're bleeding our money. They're getting our arms. They're taking from us,
So
and we're selling our own country short.
What's the solution? Because look, and I love Trump. We'll talk about his speech here in a bit, but I love the president and I'm behind the president. There's no doubt about it. But there are some decisions that the president has made recently that I question. I question some of the stuff with Qatar, and I question some things. I don't like it. Look, I know Trump is always playing political chess, but I'm uncomfortable with some things. I'm very uncomfortable with some things. And, let's talk about Venezuela just for a moment. You brought it up. I don't remember the congressman in 2019 that was on a foreign intelligence committee. The Hispanic guy, I don't remember the name, but he had brought to the attention of the American people that he had insider knowledge, that Russia already had put nukes in Venezuela back then. That concerns me a great deal. Nobody's talking about it though.
Well, look at it. Our military was totally emasculated by the leadership under Obama and over Biden. What Trump did in that 4 years, they had to get rid of him because he was ready to set a tone. If he had 8 years of succession, they were done. They were totally toast.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve, to answer your question, Nixon kind of started it all. I think it started with the HW, Bush 1.
Okay.
And then it really grew with Clinton, and it continued with the W, and it hasn't stopped until now.
Think about it. What he just said. But the Bushes are on the same side, and that if you look at all the time you see the Democratic ex-leaders, you always see the Bush family.
Yeah, it's true.
But you don't see Trump, and I totally agree with that. I honestly believe that the Bushes to have aqua reserve. I mean, the Bush family is well taken care of, and they're very powerful.
Yeah, you go back and research the Bush dynasty. I mean, it's got ties to Nazism back in the day. I mean, it just, if you want to look at
the Walker family.
Yeah, it just really does. It really does.
It's
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to hear it, because when you talk about this, you're a conspiracy theorist, or you're not being supportive of the Republican Party, or you're not this, you're not that. But, I think for too long, we just didn't ask enough questions. And I think we allowed people to walk all over us. And now, hell, here we are in 2025. We're all scratching our head, and we're now asking questions that we're probably never going to get all the answers to. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not a pessimist, but I think we've just allowed the Cowboys to run wild. And I don't know if we'll ever get back to a point and a place that maybe we all want to get back to. I just don't know if that's possible. I just don't.
If we go to the economy things, Steve, that we were talking about, which has developed since, let's say, Bush 1, the situation was that in goodwill, people were thinking that if we open up our markets to China, then they will become good guys, and we will have this beautiful global world order, and it would be, free trade the way it was meant to be. And that was in good intention. And then if you pushed a little bit more, as I did when I was in business school, they said, yeah, but, and I'd say, jobs are going to be lost because manufacturers are going to manufacture in the Midwest, because you got union costs, you got, all these things that you have to pay for in America. And the answers was, yeah, but then when you go to Target, you're going to buy cheaper rubber ducky.
Right. Yeah.
Cheap people like cheap stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The American people, we're guilty too, because we want cheap crap.
But
and that's always been the problem.
It was
over the last 20 years.
It was never meant to de-gut the United States manufacturing wise, But once the genie was out of the bottle, that's what happened. And that's what President Trump is trying to fix.
Yeah. Is it fixable completely?
I
Not
think
completely.
I think it is. I think because the I piece of GDP, the investment piece, this is president gets no credit for this, but we're getting trillions in investments into this country, and that I piece will help grow the GDP. No question about it. Unfortunately, it's not an overnight thing like when the Democrats sign a check and the money goes out tomorrow on
Yeah.
boondoggles. Investment is investment. It's real factories. It's
Yeah.
real R&D. It is building things, but it doesn't happen overnight. So
No, it
the
doesn't.
I piece, which is he's addressing, is then will also bring in the manufacturing back.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The speech last night, obviously, the president addressed the nation and, gave us a whole, summary of the last 11 months of the victories, some of the challenges. So there were some good takeaways, I think, with that. Of course, today the left didn't find one thing good from the speech. I mean, you would think that they would at least find that the warrior dividend of $1,776 is going to go to the military before Christmas is a good thing. I think politicians could all say, you know what, look, we don't agree with Trump, we don't even like him, but that was a good move, Mr. President, because our military deserves it. You didn't hear any Democrat today come out and say good move, because I'll be honest with you, they hate the military. They only use the military as pawns when it's necessary for them. I'm just telling you, that's the way it is. Everybody knows it.
John Carl A. Crow, because he basically said Trump lied. Trump set them up like dogs last night. He baited them because he knew that 2.7 number was coming out today, and he knew things were are on the upswing. And if you really listened to his message last night, what he said, the first thing he said that really should get everybody's attention: this is going to be the largest tax returns in the history of the United States when we file our tax April 15th. Yeah. That's a big plug. He said that. Then you take about incomes are going to be on the rise. Gas prices are going down. The biggest problem you have right now is we're being gouged by airlines. We're being gouged by everybody. These prices are going to have to start to come under control. As they come under control and people's dollars become stronger, look out. And that's what's going to happen. And the Democrats know they're in for a real butt whipping in the midterms. They're at an 18% likability. Think about that. They hate Trump, but they hate the Democrats more.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Well, look, guys, this half hour's flown by. Look, I want to take a quick break here in a second. And, first, I mean, I've got so much to say and I got questions and I'm frustrated. Well, I'll save my frustrations for the other side, but I will tell you this. I'm really concerned, and I don't want to leave this topic, and we're going to come back to it here in a minute, but I am really concerned that we're going to see more attacks from radical Islamists. I'm very concerned. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just want to put people on guard because, there is a Second Amendment in this country. And I'll tell you, for those of us that carry, for those of us that have CCWs, if we're ever, God forbid, put in a position where we have to defend ourselves or our families, we're going to want to have a good attorney that's going to defend us because, we could be arrested. We could even be prosecuted. A lot of people don't have a bunch of dough. This is why attorneys on retainer makes a lot of sense. Look, I've been a member for years, $25 a month. It makes a lot of sense for peace of mind. They're sponsoring this first half hour of our podcast, and I want you to consider checking them out and getting some peace of mind. You go to attorneysonretainer.us. You can become a member, less than $1 a day, $25 a month to be exact. And you're going to have an attorney in your area locally that will represent you from day one. You never pay another dime other than $25 a month. So in the event you get arrested because you had to defend yourself because some wacko is going to try to kill you, or you're a good guy with a gun trying to save your community, you could be arrested, you could be tried, you could be prosecuted, you can even be convicted. Stop the nonsense, have the legal protection, and become a member of Attorneys on Retainer. Guys, let's take a quick break, and we got a lot more to talk about when we come back. So hang out with us. We're going to be back in just a couple of minutes.
Gun owners, if you've purchased a self-defense plan from one of those companies that say they'll have your back when a self-defense incident occurs, think again. Did you know that some of these plans are backed by insurance companies that likely have endless exclusions to deny your claim? Join the Attorneys on Retainer program and get lots of benefits for firearms owners, including training, full affiliate program, and a complete legal defense on self-defense cases. For more information, visit us online at attorneysonretainer.us.
All right, guys, look, we've been salivating here, I think, all of us, regarding not only just Trump's speech, because he laid out, this beautiful 11 months, here's what we've done, boom, 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 talked about the tariffs, the warrior dividend, what we're going to see next year. What really wasn't discussed, and it's just the battle that keeps going on in Congress, is health insurance, man. And I'm concerned, man, that we're going to get freaking reeked over the coals here in the next couple of months when insurance premiums double. Is there a solution? Are we going to get rescued out of this? Or are we just royally freaking screwed in America?
That's the lie. First of all, our premiums aren't going to, the rates are filed already. They're all done. What they're talking about was the Biden extension. There were people making over 400% of the federal poverty level who were getting tax credits. See, part of the problem here is, number one, under the big beautiful bill, Medicaid. They're saying, oh, they're going to cut my Medicaid. First of all, you only lose Medicaid if you don't fall into three categories. If you're physically incapable, you're hurt, you're disabled, you're not going to lose Medicaid, nor will your children. Number one, if you are an able person, Steve, you could work right now. You're healthy.
It's the lazy asses that are going to get stuck.
But if you choose not to work, they say we'll give you Medicaid provided you work at least a minimum of 20 hours a week and you don't make over a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't want to work, no problem. Then you have to donate 20 hours of your time to community service. You'll keep your Medicaid.
That's fair.
And number three, if you're a full-time student, you don't make enough money, you get to keep your Medicaid. Those are the three areas how Medicaid's going to change. And under the Medicaid expansion, states used to pay 10% of the Medicaid. The federal government paid 90%. When they did the Medicaid expansion under Obama, states were getting paid 120%. Nevada, for example, exploded. They were only going to have about 120,000, maybe 150,000 on Medicaid. They went to 600,000. Now, if they pull that back, now Nevada's got to come up with 10% for 600,000. They don't have the money. And that's the truth. And that's why southern states, Mississippi, Alabama, did not take the Medicaid expansion. That's they knew that they could potentially blow up in their face, and they can't afford it. Reality is the rates that are out there, they've been published. Rates were going to go up going into this year prior to the election, and everybody knew it. The thing that gets me is the out-of-pockets have now risen.
Yeah, $10,000 deductibles.
10,600 is the limit this year. Now, the premiums are ridiculous, but let me tell you what the insurance companies are doing. And they're finally
the only way you're going to meet that deductible is if you go get reassignment surgery and get your no-nos cut off.
No. If you have cancer or whatever. But here's what happened. The insurance companies are now buying diagnostic centers. They're employing the doctors. They're opening up their own hospitals. So essentially, these people are all on salary. And the insurance companies are saying, okay, we're going to have you bill us. On paper, we're going to pay out 80%. But we're only your salary is already paid. That money is being filtered, and the insurance companies are making 65% on the premium, not the 20% that they were making. And 20% on $100 billion is a lot of money.
Hell yeah, it is.
And the insurance
premium come back? I mean, guys, are we ever going to get to a damn place in America where premiums are going to be reasonable? We can buy across state lines, or are those days gone? I mean, I'm worried about people.
Fallacy. Buying across state lines can't work. You understand that? Why? Because providers have to be contracted with a carrier in that state. If they don't have the providers, you could buy the cheapest insurance, but if it doesn't cover anything, what good is it?
So
what I can tell you is Trump did something earlier this year, and it's going to be put through. I think it's something to do with, I forget the proper terminology regarding the prescriptions with the nations. That's the number one hit. That's going to drop costs. Now, if they could go after, they need to implement Medicare reimbursements, the ceiling of Medicare, which is Medicare. If you have a Medicare policy, the doctor can charge 20% of the Medicare approved amounts. Let's make that 120% threshold standard. And if insurance companies work out deals with the providers that'll take less, then they can charge less. But until you start to dig deep and drive rates, the cost of care down, premiums can't go anywhere. And name one business, and I know Guy loves this one. Name one business that can discount their product 75 to 90% and be profitable. Hospitals. And the hospitals accounting, ask Guy. Guy will tell you it's the greatest.
Yeah. I did not look at investing in hospitals because their financials were impossible when I was an investor, were impossible to understand. And I just felt very weird to have 3 different revenue lines, like revenues, gross revenues, net revenues, real revenues, or something like that. But Patrick, this is something that's really important for me. First of all, we need to fight back when Jackie Rosen and everybody else, we're talking to the ones we know and love here, start scaring the public. And Pat, we're not going to do it with what you just said, with the pencil on behind your ear accounting talk. We got to talk the way that people understand. So how do we push back when these guys on the other side are constantly playing the fear game on our public?
They're lying. Number one, Jackie Rosen and Masto, we had a plan in town that I put forth. The Real Estate Association had a sole proprietor health plan, association plan. The rates were great. They went for blocks, so 45 to 54, 55 to 64, in 9-year blocks. The rates were great. We even had a 2-year rate lock or 18-month rate lock at one point. Plans were great. There were PPOs. They were national. They got shot down by Masto and Rosen. They both said, "Oh, they're shit plans." They weren't. They were great in health plans. They're the reason we lost the sole proprietor health plans in Nevada. Association health plans work. The other thing that needs to be done, they could publish a base rate, what you're talking, have a base rate for somebody and allow people to be medically underwritten, which will allow the rates. Let's say you have a great biometrics. We're going to give you a 15% discount. You don't smoke. We'll give you another 5% discount. Your blood pressure is 120 over 80, another 10% discount. That can be done. I'm selling plans right now, okay, through United Healthcare, and there's other companies in New York, I forget, Indiana, whatever it's called. They sell a plan called an indemnity plan. The plans pay $1, but more importantly, the rates are 40% lower, and the coverage is actually better than if you buy a full-blown PPO plan. And they are national PPOs. The key, medical underwriting.
But so Pat, and Steve, help me here. You're making sense to me. Right now, there are people that are watching the show that are going to watch that and say blah 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 PPO blah 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 IPO blah 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 45%. We need to simplify this so that the left can't control the narrative.
Yeah, how do we do that? How do we create a message for everyday working mom and pop Americans working their ass off? They're tired. They come home. They may watch 15 minutes of the evening news and they play with the kids. And then, how do we sell it? How is it palatable? Because we get it. We understand it. But see, this is why the Democrats usually win certain arguments, because they use political theater. And, as conservatives, as Republicans, we have the tendency to be extremely intelligent and we know things, but the message never seems to get across to the constituent. And that's the concern. I think this is why people like Jackie Rosen and Mastow, and here in Arizona, Gallego and Kelly, they get away with the bullshit that they continue to peddle.
Well, let me tell you this.
Steve, in the 15
politicians
minutes,
don't want to solve the problem.
Patrick, in the 15 minutes that they listen to the news, they hear Joe in Minnesota's premiums are increasing by 65% next year, and somebody in Nevada was paying 2,000, and oh my God, they just told me 8,000. That's all they hear for 15 minutes, and then Pat comes in and says, "But see, so Pat, the challenge, if you accept it, Mr. Phelps, is
right here.
Can you talk to the normal people so that they come on our side of the issue rather than the scare tactics that everybody uses on the left?"
The answer is no, because of the fact that the politicians have brainwashed the consumer. And the problem is we have people who hate Trump so much, you could put $1 million in their account and they still think he was a son of a bitch. It wouldn't matter. And it's the truth. And unfortunately, because of their hatred, they're blinded by the light. When I listen to some of these clowns that do radio shows that have something to say about Trump without knowing the facts. I listened to some schmuck today talking about we need to write our congressman. They should stay in Washington to solve the problem. These idiots don't realize you can't keep throwing good money after bad. It's not solving. Affordability isn't just your premium. If I give you an insurance policy for free, but you got to come up with the first 10 grand, and we keep hearing that the average person is $1,000 away from being homeless, how the frig are they going to come up with a $10,000 deductible? Where are they going to get the money? They're going to die.
Yeah,
and I told this to Steve about there's a plus minus system in healthcare with some of these managed care programs, specifically HMOs, but more under the Medicare Advantage. If they put a value on you of $500,000 in a actuarial value, and you get sick, really sick, and it's going to cost $1 million to cure your problem. If the curability is in the upper 90s, they may invest that extra money. If it's in the 10% range, they're going to keep you comfortable. You're going to die.
Those are the death panels. Those are the death
100%.
panels that people were talking about during the early years of Obamacare, right? That's really, in essence, what it is. Some bureaucrat, some freaking, pencil pusher, bow tie wearing bureaucrat gets to decide. And I don't know how we got this way. I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you, you know what I'm telling you, and I could be wrong, and maybe I am wrong, but I think that what's going to happen, because no one really knows how to sell this to the American people, that they're going to sell that the only solution possible, plausible to solve all of this is universal health care. Watch.
And universal health care doesn't work.
No,
the wait times are. Listen, I know my business partner's Canadian. He became a U.S. citizen recently. Okay, why would he go on an American health plan if the Canadian health plan was so much better?
Oh, exactly.
He needed his knee replaced about 6 years ago. He drove to Buffalo.
He hit it on the head, though, Pat. People don't pay attention, and it sounds sexy, and it sounds like, you mean my health care's free, and I only have to pay 10% more in taxes?
Oh, no. You should have been on the call yesterday. I was talking to people that just moved to Canada, from Canada to North Carolina. She said the amount of money they were paying in taxes was ridiculous. I'm talking stupid money, $200,000 a quarter on a husband and wife. And let me tell you, she goes, even though the healthcare is free, I'm paying through the nose. Paying $2,000 in the United States for husband and wife is cheaper than the tax rate in Canada.
Yeah, we know that. That's free. We're funding it. Yeah.
You hit it on the head, Steve. Okay, so we're having this discussion, okay? And Pat just said what Pat said. And I am a average person who's listening. And you just told me Medicare for all. Universal healthcare. You don't have to worry about it. You got a card. You go to any doctor, anytime, any place. Thank you very much. Take a bow.
How's Medicare Advantage plans working? You can't, you only, if you don't see their doctors, and there's a new thing called stay in your lane for seniors. So if you get a plan with Humana and you have, even though the specialist that you want to see is a provider, unless they're tied to your main provider, you can't see that specialist.
But see, people don't know how bad it is until they get on the system. And that's the problem, is we're going to be sold, not us, but many people are going to be sold this bill of goods. Okay. And they're going to think that that's the answer. And then when they get into the program, they're going to find out what you already know, Pat. I know what you know, Guy, that like these Medicare Advantage programs, just like you said, they suck, they're crap, but it's going to be too late. And you know this, look at this is why people screamed about Obamacare and flipped out. Once you give crack to a crackhead, you can't take the crack pipe from him anymore.
Even better. A lady goes, we need Medicare for all. I'm like, Medicare loses $300 billion a year on fraud. What's the two things that you hear them bitch about in Washington? We're running out of Social Security. We're running out of Medicare. Why? Because it's mismanaged. You want the government to manage 100% of your health care? We'll all be dead.
No, I think that's I think the Hunger Games is coming. I don't know 100%. What it is.
I always, again, so I try to go to the simplistic argument, because people are not going to get into the wonkishness that we do. I always say, you know what universal healthcare is? It's combining the post office with the DMV. Is that what you want?
See,
now I got your attention.
That's evil.
Because
good.
everybody goes to the DMV and everybody knows how messed up the post office is.
Are they trained to be assholes? I mean, really, the DMV and the post office, are they trained to be just rotten? And I've tried. Look, I got kind of a personality myself. So, but I come in and I force a smile and they're still rotten to the core. They're not nice people. You try. I mean, is it a course that they take? Are they freaking miserable? What's happening?
Well, the DMV, I understand why they're miserable. I mean, everybody yells and screams at them. They're pissed off because they got to wait 6 hours for something real simple.
That's
The postal worker, there's no excuse other than if they're delivering mail in the summer and there's no air conditioner, the poor bastards are frying in the truck.
Why? I've always wondered that. Why aren't there air conditioners in a post person's or a postman's vehicle? I mean, it's not difficult.
Well, they want to save gas money.
Amazon does it for their drivers. I mean, hell, they got AC. They got the whole 9 yards in there, man. Amazon took over the world.
It's insane.
Be honest, guys. How much Christmas shopping did you do on Amazon?
A little. Two things.
So far, 40% of my Christmas shopping.
Yeah, see, now my wife, did her Christmas shopping already, and she did probably 80% in person. She still likes to go to stores, and about 20% on Amazon. This year, I did about 70% on Amazon. I'm so busy. I did it, and it came, and the rest of it, I'll go do Saturday. I do this little tradition with my grandsons. We go out. I take them out to go with me to Christmas shop, and we have a good time. But Amazon works, man. Look, I even had a freaking drone come to my door. The drone came down.
Really?
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, no. At first, I heard, something sounded off. I thought it was the gardener, and I'm like, "What the hell's that sound?" It wasn't real loud, but you could hear a sound. So I look out the window and I see a freaking. I didn't think it was Amazon at first. I just see this drone thing. I said, "Son of a gun!" The freaking
attacked.
Yeah, the NSA got me. They found out where I am. They're pissed off. So I opened the door and it's a freaking package that they're dropping. Is that nuts? I wish I would have had my iPhone with me. I could have, because once they drop, they go. It's fast. Boom.
You know what? Amazon is amazing. I did a little bit of shopping on Amazon. My wife did all of her shopping on Amazon. It kills me. Every day the packages were coming. We didn't get robbed. What I want to do is I wanted to set it up where when somebody went and picked up the package, it would blow up on them.
Yeah, I've seen
I really wanted to do that.
I've seen that on the socials. All right, guys, look, let's wrap up. But let's Christmas is just a few days away, a week to be exact, couple days really, to be exact. Let me ask you this. Favorite Christmas memory? I'm going to start with Pat. Christmas memory as a kid, not as an adult, as a kid. Christmas memory. Now, if you had something as an adult, that's fine too. But tradition, food. What does it mean, man? I mean, you share with us.
Family is everything. My grandmother was awesome. Those were great memories. But I'll tell you what my greatest memory was, and you're going to both laugh. I was about 8 years old, and I used to put out cookies and milk for Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And one time, and you don't want to be caught being awake to take away your presents.
Yeah.
So I woke up and snuck, and I swear to God, I thought I saw Santa Claus, and I bolted back to my room and I went, "Oh, please, God, please don't let him take my That was my greatest memory. I actually witnessed and saw Santa Claus sitting there eating cookies and milk. I swear to God. I was 8 years old.
Now that you said that, let me tell you, I'm a Hispanic. So, growing up in a Hispanic household, we didn't put out the freaking Oreos and the chocolate chips. We pulled out those freaking cracker Hispanic cheap ass cookies. Okay. So my mom's putting out these freaking cracker type cheap ass, freaking Mexican cookie. And I'm like, Santa ain't coming for that. I think in my head, I wouldn't dare say it out loud, but I'm thinking in my head, freaking Santa's going to pass us up because he's getting freaking, a freaking cracker cookie that's freaking straight from Mexico.
Well, I'm just going to tell you. You know why he's fat, right? Because of all the cookies we give him.
Yeah.
But the thought of you as a little kid putting cookies and milk under a tree is very heartwarming.
Yeah, I wish we can go back in time travel, right, and see all that stuff, and see Pat looking like this.
Hey, by the way, did you hear that they got this new thing you can sleep with, and it replays your dreams? You could see your dreams on a camera.
You got to be sure.
No,
yeah, AI. I'm telling you, I'm tempted because if I could get to see my mother again in my dream and then get to see her, that'd be awesome.
You got to be. Who's putting this out? It's not Elon Musk.
My wife found it. She's always looking through this crap, so she saw it. But I wouldn't mind getting that. Now that's something I would do. But
that's pretty wild.
my greatest Christmas memory was that when I was 8, I saw Santa. And then when I woke up that morning, there were so many gifts. And the best part about my gifts is I could open up 100 gifts inside of 3 minutes and say, oh my God, I was crazy. I had everything. G.I. Joes.
Oh.
I remember my aunt bought me this G.I. Joe with a Jeep.
Yeah.
And had the beard. And I got my mother to give it up. I said, so Annie Vaughn's buying me the G.I. Joe with the Jeep. Oh yeah, I got it. She goes, you better not tell her. You better be surprised.
I still dig Christmas, man. Marie does a big deal of it. And I love it too. I don't like the receipt, but yeah, it's a fun time. Guy, how about you, man? I know you came from Lebanon, so things may have been a little different, but share some stuff with us. And then you came to the States, and made a tremendous success of yourself. And so, how did that all go down?
So mine has been kind of evolving as I've been working on the book and working on having the conversation with you guys. So my best Christmas memory was in 1974, Christmas Eve. My parents and I were in a choir. And you have to understand, in Lebanon, if you're a Christian, every holiday is a huge deal. Yeah. Like when the Pope came and visited, because we have something to prove to the other side.
Sure, right? Sure.
You do your thing, we're gonna do ours. So ours was every relative that I had from the whole part of the country came. My parents and I were in the choir, and they came to, it was a Christian Brothers school, Christian Brothers church for midnight mass. And there must have been 1,000, 2,000 people. And it's always what decides how the evening goes is the person who sings "O Holy Night" in French.
Wow. Oh,
okay,
cool.
So "O Holy," Minuit Chrétien, so once, if that guy does a good job, then the whole night is perfect. If that guy doesn't do so well, then the rest of us have to pull through and finish the mass. But anyway, so this guy killed it. He was actually a Russian white prince that his parents had escaped Russia and ended up in Lebanon somehow. Wow. Incredible performance. Everybody's crying. We finished the performance. We talk outside. We're cold. We're freezing. And in my heart, something is telling me that this could be the last one. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Yeah. And 4 months later, I'm in a war.
Wow.
So that to me is the big one. It's like, I'll never forget it. The cold, the chill, my bones, the singing, we were there, our people, we did midnight mass because that's when Jesus came, and, to heck with the rest of the region.
Yeah. It's interesting. I grew up Catholic, guys, and, I left the church, not out of anything upset or anything. I just found a different path as an evangelical back in 2001. But still, very fond memories of the traditions. And I am still a huge proponent of the midnight mass at Christmas, even though I don't practice Catholicism anymore. I don't think there's anything that quite matches midnight mass. It is a very holy time. The church is different. It's not the fog machines and the laser lights and all that other stuff. It's just different. And then, when they're singing Joy to the World, and it's just different. It's a different vibe. It's a tradition. I still do it. And you know what? I never ask my family to go with me. They're all asleep. They're early birds. I go to midnight mass every year by myself. And I do it, and I love it. It's just something that's still a very important part of my life, and it's cool, man. It's great.
That's beautiful. Silent night, holy night, and you can't beat. It's just.
What's your favorite cartoons? I mean, I have a couple, but what are your favorite cartoons?
You mean like Christmas movie cartoons?
Yeah, Christmas one.
It's funny that you say that, because last night, Marie and I, we watch a Christmas movie every night. We do it every year. Last night, believe it or not, we watched the 1964 Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer last night.
That's one of my favorite all time. I'm going to watch that with my grandkids. Did you know Rudolph was actually a gimmick? It was a sales gimmick from one of the big department stores, and that's how it became what it became.
No, didn't know. But I mean, the music, the favorite Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song that I like is performed by Gene Autry. I like the Gene Autry
okay. I like that one.
Cowboy version, and then if you kind of bring it to modern times, I like the way Harry Connick Jr. I'm a huge Harry Connick Jr. fan. The way he does Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, which is kind of cool.
Rudolph would be that, but I like the Little Drummer Boy. How about you, Gay?
Oh, yeah.
So for me again, when you go to Rudolph, so I didn't grow up with Rudolph. I learned about Rudolph when I was 16 years old and 17 and 18.
Yeah.
And you know what struck me the most was
that?
the island of the misfit toys.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Because I was foreign and I was here. I was a misfit.
Yeah.
And actually, there was a story about, you know, people kind of like me.
Yeah.
So that's why, Rudolph became always so, important to me.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, we just watched it last night. So I love nostalgia. There's something important to, when we watch that stuff. And, and I love the Charlie Brown Christmas, and it's just big
Me
deal.
too.
I love when Linus talks about what, Christmas, is really about and what the true meaning of Christmas is. So, yeah, we've lost a lot of that. I'm glad that you could still find these, on Netflix and things like that. And we do what you guys do. We introduce them to our grandchildren so that they can,
So Monday night I'll be in Houston, and we're going to watch. My daughter wants to watch with me the original Miracle on 34th Street. Now I like watching Scrooge, but that one was the best one with Natalie Wood was little girl.
Sure.
And I'm getting chills every time that scene where he talks Dutch to the little girl, the girl who was just adopted.
Yeah, yeah.
But Mom, you had to see it. I mean, to me, that was without question the greatest Christmas movie ever made. And that was Edwin Gwynn. And that movie was released in the summertime.
Yeah, no, great movie. Great movie. I love them.
And the one thing that gives me a little bit of hope is that more and more what we're talking about, people are actually doing now in our country, despite all of the social media and the craziness. And, there are many, many people that are just coming back to the simplicity of it all.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, look at Kevin Costner. And Pat, I did see the documentary. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. Kevin Costner does this documentary called The First Christmas. And Kevin Costner, and you know who put this out? Disney. Of all people, it's on Disney Plus. You can catch it on Hulu. ABC Disney put this out. Kevin Costner's talking about his Christian faith, and they do this great documentary of the first Christmas of Mary and Joseph and Jesus. It's done right. It's done incredibly. The optics of it are incredible. If you guys haven't seen it, go find it. It's The First Christmas, narrated in person by Kevin Costner, and he shares his faith as a Christian. And I'm telling you, I'm just shocked that Disney did it, but it's kind of cool because Disney used to do things like that back in the day. Yeah, maybe they've learned
slowly.
With Mickey's saying, "Man, I'm going broke. I got to, we better do something. Better bring the Christians back over to us."
They're getting killed in the movies.
Yeah. Well, they are. They are.
We had to, sometimes actually when I was running, there was a pastor, Calvary pastor, that, I was saying sometimes I was talking about my background. I go, sometimes you have to fight. And then he said to me, sometimes you have to stand. And I think we stood, guys. And I think Disney's making movies like we used to make them before because we stood last election. We stood.
Yeah, we did. And we're going to continue.
I'm happy to say Merry Christmas again.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Merry Christmas. Well, with that said, guys, it's time for us to bounce, but Merry Christmas to both of you.
Same.
And all of you watching out there, Merry Christmas, blessed New Year.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
God bless you all, everyone.
Make sure you share with everybody, because we need to bring back some righteousness to America and some godly righteousness at that. So, all right, Merry Christmas, everybody. Peace.
Okay. Feliz Navidad. All right, bye, guys.